First of all, you know, we started trying to do like a little collaboration, little spotlights on different cars. And we first met because both of our fondness for Volkswagens. It's unfortunate I never had a Volkswagen at that time, but you know, we were able to talk and mingle about the Volkswagens. I got to meet a lot, and some of these Volkswagen guys are still here. And then after that, I know you had the infamous, was it Trans Am or Firebird or Camaro that had the blower?
So I got on island in like '94. Yeah. And was military back at the time. So like anybody, I had a drift car, had an LS 12 Sylvia. And then after a while, started missing my muscle days. So first car I picked up was an '84 Trans Am. So nothing fancy, just a 5-liter hardtop. It was a dog, but I loved it. Then as I got used to it, I started upgrading. So after that, I had an '85 with T-tops for a while, black with gold trim. And then I got the '91 GTA, and I drove the heck out of that thing. And you know, everybody over here at the time, they had the Skylines, they had the Sylvias, they had this and that. And I decided to go old school and throw a supercharger on it.
Yeah, I remember that. Because I think at that time I had my Celica.
Then I got T-boned in that car. And that's what led to my next phase, which was the Night Rider phase. Got traction bars, subframe connectors, tubular A-arms, up the blower from 6 PSI to 10 PSI, the Night Rider nose, the Night Rider dash.
The kit was from the TV show Night Rider, which some of us old heads definitely know about, and some of the young heads might not know about it.
I used to sit at, like, me and my friend would be sitting at Blue Seal ice cream shop, and I'd wait till kids walk by and just start pushing buttons, and you know, they freak out because the car's laughing at them in some evil, like, you know. Kids are like, you know.
You must miss that car.
I miss it. Yeah, I still have all the parts, so one day I can rebuild it.
I would love to see it again.
This was a decision. So I've always been into third generation Trans Am's Camaros.
This truck evolved dramatically from when you first got it.
In bad condition, check engine light was on, it was not running right, it had no power, and the windshield was completely rotted and cracked. And honestly, I paid too much for it, but I knew the true value of it. So, and then the first year I had it was just all kinds of problems, but it didn't take long. The first time I sorted out the mechanical issues, because you'd floor it, it would just bog down like brr, it wouldn't boost past like 5 PSI. And then I figured out what was wrong. The hoses were dry rotted, the O2 sensor was bad. Just to be honest, I thought I was going to crash it the first time I took it out because it was like night and day. I was used to driving it how I had been. And I floored that thing and it took off like a bat out of hell. And I was like, ugh, both hands on the wheel.
There's a lot of things done to this truck that's not original, and that's, let me just add, not tacky.
Everything I've done to this can be undone. So I don't want this thing to lose value. So like all the modifications, like the LED headlights or like the aftermarket intercooler, or even it's got Trans Am fender vents, for instance, or this hood scoop. All that can be undone. This has the original engine, original transmission, drivetrain, everything. On modifying it, I wanted to make it mine. I didn't just want to be like everybody else. So some things are taken from other trucks I've seen, like the Trans Am vents on the sides.
That's one of my favorite things that you did. I think that's just so cool.
This is a scoop that GM used on multiple vehicles. They used it on the El Camino SS. They used it on the Oldsmobile Cutlass, on the Blazer Sport Coupe. The black grille, for instance, this grille was originally white. The 92 models have a black, or have a colored grille, and then the buckets for the lights are colored. The 93 models are one solid color. I kind of went in between and only did the grille. The mirrors are usually black from the factory, but these are body colored. The rear wing, it didn't come with them at all. Most people add a black wing. Mine is body colored.
You know, here, you know, we're sitting here talking about the car, but we never even mentioned what it is, and probably a lot of people have no clue what this is.
So this is a 1993 GMC Typhoon. This originally started in '92 because back then there wasn't really a sport truck. So they started with the GMC Cyclone. The first prototype for that actually used the Buick from Grand National engine.
Grand National.
GMC were like, we'll make it, but you have to use our existing motor that's currently in production because that motor was getting phased out. So instead of getting a 3.8, it actually got the 4.3 liter V6. And then they slapped a Mitsubishi TD06 17C turbocharger, Garrett water to air intercooler system.
Okay.
Because they ran it against a twin turbo Supra, they ran it against an NSX, and then they did the normal like GM vehicles, like they did it against like a Land Cruiser and like a Dodge van and just other things.
So in the video, it shows it competing against the Supra and against the NSX, and it's, in my opinion, it's destroying both of them. I mean, it's a freaking truck.
It actually beat a Ferrari 348 out of the box. So these things were no slouch, and they were killing it at the track. These were torque monsters. They only kicked out about like 285 to 290 horsepower, but they kicked out about 360 torque. These gained way more popularity.
And they're cooler looking too, in my opinion.
These were taken right off the assembly line and modified for this. So this, when it was first made, was just a regular GMC Jimmy. Sorry, Japan has the Jimny.
Yeah,
but yeah, and
a little bit smaller. Well, a little bit smaller. Let's get a look around with the car. If you want to point out some of the cool details.
The first thing is probably on the bottom here, the intercooler. There's a company called Sports Machines, which is that logo there. They make aftermarket parts specifically for Cyclones and Typhoons. This license plate, I had this custom made in Japanese style, so it looks like just like every other Japanese plate here. I've changed all the lights. The original ones are amber, and these were not clear. So everything is LED now. This lights up actually, and it can be a park light or a daytime running light or even a turn signal if I want. These, which Mike loves, these are actually from a '79 Trans Am. Flip backwards. They're normally fender vents. A lot of people use them as intakes. Now most people only do it to the passenger side because that's the turbo inlet side. This is not factory either. This is a scoop that GM used on a lot of their cars back in the 80s. Now, for 1992, Typhoon decals were silver, and for 1993, they were gold. And a few people with red trucks, this is one of the things they've changed, and I just had to do it as well. Normally, that's just blank, but back in the 80s, they used to make things that fit in these. Factory mirrors are usually black, but at some point in its life, they were painted white, and I like it, so I'm gonna keep it. This is a factory radio that's been modified. So even though it works just like the stock radio, but Bluetooth has been added to have a cassette adapter with an SD card. Oh. So I pop it in just like I would a tape, and I can jam all day. His and her shifters. Hers for the normal driving and his for the track. This is basically all you ever need. So these are OBD1. And this reads the ECM directly, so I don't need a laptop. This tells me everything I want to know. There's the retard there, our old school Indiglo gauges. Took me forever to find them. It's probably hard to see in the daylight, but that's how they used to do aftermarket gauges back in the day. These are actually C4 Corvette saw blades. The interior, for the most part, is stock. I mean, those are the original seats. I mean, considering their age, they're in pretty good condition. This is not really a wing, it's an air deflector. A lot of people put them on. What it does is it directs air over the top across your back window to keep it from fogging up. 4.3 liter V6. Really, it's all stock. I've heat wrapped it a little bit to try to keep some temps down. And the metal piping's been replaced with rubber hoses. But
Your car is calling you.
yeah, that's my wife. I'm gonna.
Well, I'm glad you have that as your theme song. I really do miss that
that's
car.
to remind me of my roots, where I came from.